Welcome back to my organic class. In today's class, we are going to understand about carboxylic acid. Okay. Now, in carboxylic acid, we have already discussed its general formula. So, what is general formula of carboxylic acid? It is CnH2n plus 1 COOH. Okay, this is general formula of carboxylic acid, and we know the general formula help us to get the molecular formula. And while naming carboxylic acid, we need to include this carbon also in numbering the carbon. As you know, when we name organic compound, the prefix of the naming, which means the name starts with by counting the number of carbon present in the organic compound. So what I mean here, when we are naming carboxylic acid, then we need to count this carbon also. Okay, so this was the quick revision about its general formula and the naming of carboxylic acid. Now what we will understand in the carboxylic acid. So specifically, we need to understand in carboxylic acid which acid? Ethanoic acid. So ethanoic acid is, what is the molecular formula of ethanoic acid? It is CH3COOH. Okay? So why it is ethanoic acid? Because it is made up of two carbon. That is why its name starts with ethane. And since it has the functional group COOH, that's why its name ends with ethanoic acid. So that is why this is ethanoic acid. So in our class, we need to specifically know about ethanoic acid. Now, what are the things we should know about ethanoic acid? So in ethanoic acid, only two things we should know. What is that? How ethanoic acid is prepared and what are the reactions of ethanoic acid. Okay. Now, how ethanoic acid is prepared? Here we will discuss two ways by which ethanoic acid is prepared. Okay. The first way which we will discuss is making of ethanoic acid from ethanol by using acidified KMnO4. We will do it in detail. Here just I am telling you what are the things we should know about ethanoic acid. Okay, na? So the things which we should know is the preparation of ethanoic acid. So how we can prepare ethanoic acid? By reacting ethanol with acidified KMnO4. This is the one way of preparing ethanoic acid. Similarly, the other way of preparing ethanoic acid is by bacterial oxidation of ethanol, and where it happens during vinegar production. Okay, so bacterial oxidation of ethanol during vinegar production. So bacterial oxidation of ethanol during vinegar production. So what we see here, in both the cases we are preparing ethanoic acid from ethanol. In the first case, we are preparing ethanoic acid from ethanol by using oxidizing agent KMnO4, and in the second case, we are preparing ethanoic acid from ethanol by using bacteria as an oxidizing agent. Okay. Now here you see, I have not used ethanoic acid word here because this vinegar is ethanoic acid. Okay. Vinegar is 5% ethanoic acid. Okay. What do I mean by 5% ethanoic acid? It means that in vinegar 5% ethanoic acid is present and 95% water is present. So the vinegar which we use at home is ethanoic acid, dilute ethanoic acid we can say, because 95% of vinegar is made up of water and only 5% is made up of ethanoic acid. So this I will do in detail, but here just understand that from ethanol we can make ethanoic acid. Okay. Now, what is the next thing we should know about ethanoic acid? There are various reactions in which ethanoic acid perform. So, what are the reactions which we will discuss? So, there is only three reactions which we need to know about ethanoic acid. How ethanoic ethanoic acid reacts with, what happens when ethanoic acid reacts with metal, what happens when ethanoic acid reacts with bases, and what happens when ethanoic acid reacts with carbonates. Okay, so let us understand reaction of ethanol with acidified potassium manganate. Okay, now why we are doing this reaction? Because we want to make ethanoic acid. So what is this? This reaction we are doing in order to get ethanoic acid. That means this comes under the heading of preparation of ethanoic acid. Okay, so what happened when ethanol reacts with 2 oxygen? Now you see this, when oxygen is represented in square bracket, it means this oxygen is coming from oxidizing agent. Okay? This oxygen is not coming from air. Whenever oxygen is written in square bracket, this means it is coming from oxidizing agent. So which oxidizing agent we are using here? Oxidizing agent we are using here potassium manganate. So potassium manganate is the oxidizing agent which we are using in order to make ethanoic acid from ethanol. Of course, since we are using oxidizing agent, so this reaction is oxidation reaction. Okay, now let us understand, is there any other thing which we need other than the oxidizing agent KMnO4? Yes. This KMnO4 must be in aqueous state and it must be acidified. H plus sign means the presence of acid. Okay, little bit acid is added in the solution of potassium manganate in order to increase the rate of the reaction. Okay, so that is why I am showing here H plus, and here I showed H plus means indicates the presence of acid. Okay, now which acid we use? Generally we use dilute sulfuric acid for acidification of oxidizing agent. So remember one thing, whenever we are doing oxidation of ethanol by using KMnO4 oxidizing agent, it must be aqueous and acidified, then only we will get ethanoic acid. Okay, so you know that now you see the reaction when ethanol reacts with 2 oxygen which we get from KMnO4 which is acting as an oxidizing agent, we will get ethanoic acid and water. Okay, now is there any importance other than making of ethanoic acid? Yes, this type of reaction is very important because it is used for testing alcohols. Okay, so if you will study organic chemistry in A level, there you will get the detail of testing of alcohol. Here you just understand that this type of oxidation reaction, is used for testing alcohols. Now how we can use this reaction for testing alcohol? Because you see, this KMnO4 is purple in color. Okay, KMnO4 is purple in color. When this purple color KMnO4 is added to ethanol, when it is added to ethanol or any other alcohol, okay, when this purple color KMnO4 is added to alcohol, oxidation takes place and the alcohol get converted into carboxylic acid. Okay, and during this conversion, what happened? Purple color of KMnO4 is lost. Purple color of KMnO4 is lost. That is why before reaction, suppose you are doing reaction in a beaker, the color was, before reaction the color was purple, and after the reaction it changes to colorless, and this shows the presence of alcohol. If alcohol will change the color of KMnO4, means it is, why it is doing this? Because oxidation takes place in alcohol and carboxylic acid is formed. Now you see, I try to explain you like this, alcohol when take oxygen, okay, when take oxygen from KMnO4, which is behaving as an oxidizing agent here, the purple color of a KMnO4 changes to colorless because alcohol turns to carboxylic acid, and in this way we can use this above reaction for testing alcohols. This is the importance of reaction other than making of carboxylic acid. Any carboxylic acid can be made by oxidation of respective alcohol. Here we have discussed by taking specifically ethanoic acid. So we can say that this is ethanol, this is ethanol, and this is ethanoic acid. Okay, ethanoic acid. But any alcohol, any carboxylic acid can be made from its respective alcohol, that I want to make you understand. Okay. Now the second way by which we can make ethanoic acid is bacterial oxidation. Bacterial oxidation, which means what is the reaction is same like this. Ethanol is reacting with oxygen and ethanoic acid and water is being formed. But you see, here the oxygen is not in square bracket, means this oxygen we are getting from the air. Okay, this oxygen we are getting from the air, and the reaction rate is increased when we add bacteria to this specific reaction. See, this is very simple reaction. It can be take place in home also. Okay, any ethanol, if you will open the cap of the ethanol bottle and keep it for some time, it will take the air of oxygen. It will take the oxygen from air, and some of the bacteria present in the air, it will react with that, and we will get ethanoic acid, because the taste of ethanol will change to sour. Ethanoic acid, presence of acid, you know na, the acid tastes sour. So when the taste of ethanol changes to sour, it means that ethanol is converted into ethanoic acid. Okay. In large scale, where vinegar production is taking place in industries which are making vinegar, they purposely do this. What they expose ethanol to air, and they add purposely bacteria which is responsible for converting ethanol to ethanoic acid in presence of oxygen from air.